So guys, it's St. Patrick's Day, and you know what that means. No, it does not mean getting drunk on green beer. It means celebrating when St. Patrick chased the snakes out of Ireland. Oh, you didn't know about that? You probably also didn't know that St. Patrick was actually not even Irish. Did you know that? You probably didn't know that. Yes, St. Patrick was actually a Roman from Great Britain, and he brought Christianity to Ireland, chased those snakes out of that place. You probably also didn't know that it wasn't actual snakes. There was no reptiles or snakes in Ireland, and there still isn't. That's weird, right? It was actually the Druids, those dirty pagans that according to Julius Caesar, put people in a wicker statue, a wicker idol, and burned them alive as a sacrifice to their gods. Kind of like the Burning Man festival in America. Is that where that comes from? Yeah, that's where that comes from. And also, I'm wearing green today because I don't want to get pinched. Do you know why people wear green so they don't get pinched? Because you're invisible to leprechauns when you're wearing green. You didn't know that? Yeah, that's what they say. Oh, you didn't know the leprechauns were real too? Yeah, they're actually endangered. So I try to wear green every day because I don't want to get pinched even if it's not St. Patrick's Day. Hello, family. Welcome back to JT's Mixtape, episode number 21. Keep rolling along. I'm excited about this. And if you guys are excited about this, please give me a 5-star review on either Apple or Spotify. And if you're listening on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button.
Come closer, my child.
How's it going, Brian?
Doing great, bro. Doing great. It's a wonderful day. It's very windy outside today. Hopefully you don't get any crazy wind banging noise because my door was like where I'm at.
Oh, you know what? Just talk about some local weather, like everyone cares about this, but you guys will care about this. Pretty interesting. So on Saturday, it was like mid 60s, which obviously is pretty good for this time of year where we live. Sunny day. I was doing a little garage workout, and I thought, oh, I might have to take the dog out, maybe go ride a bike or do something, go outside. But the weather quickly shifted, and it was like, oh no, it's going to rain now. So it rained, and obviously all those other plans were canceled. But when I went out to my truck later, it was all speckled with stuff. And I was like, that's kind of weird. It's almost like I got sprayed with something. And then my wife was saying the same thing. Like her vehicle had all these like kind of brownish speckles on it. And then she went out and she saw brown speckles on everybody's car. So I just heard from today that supposedly there's some kind of dust storm in New Mexico. And that dust storm obviously turned into some kind of rain cloud in the southeastern part of Virginia.
What?
And of course I was like, I don't believe that. I don't believe that cloud didn't rain that dust out before here. So is that a chemtrail type thing?
You know, I've seen, there's this thing like these cars. I've seen this video of this guy and he like has his car sitting out and he took like a credit card and he scraped his car.
Oh, I think I've seen
really
that.
see it. Yeah, but it made like this little line of white dust stuff that was like, what is that? And it was magnetic. He like put a magnet to it and it stuck. And it was like, what is that? Like, how is it, a magnetic stuff in the air? Like, granted, there could be all kinds of dirt or dust in the air, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's magnetic, I don't know, man. That's a little suspicious. So who knows what they're spraying in the air? I know they're dropping all kinds of chemicals and microparticles and who knows what that is, but I would test to see if it's magnetic. That would be
it does seem to, it's funny. Of course, I don't wash my vehicle that often, so I could probably still go scrape it off and go see what's in there. I think that there was another video where this guy, I think it might have been last year, maybe it was 2 years ago. This guy got snow, and then he was lighting it on fire, and it wouldn't melt.
I did see that too. Yeah, the snow that didn't. It was like not melting; it was burning.
That's
How
I mean,
is
that seems unusual. I mean, I guess I've never really tried to light snow on fire because I didn't think it would burn.
Dude, that's who just I mean, it's possible that he could have like shot lighter fluid in there or something, right? Like, because like how the heck was it on fire? That was weird. And it was a really light fire. It was like almost invisible. It was like it was interesting.
Well, there was a so we had a pretty big snowstorm 2 weeks ago. Big for here. We got like almost a foot, like 10 inches to a foot or something like that. And the day before, let's just say the sky was checkerboard. There was obviously trails. There was contrails, as they'll tell us, everywhere. And then it snowed like crazy the next day. So yeah, I mean, weather manipulation potentially. I mean, I'm not saying I know. I'm just saying
it's weird.
It seems weird. There could be some correlation between the checkerboard skies and also the weather we get the next day, or the weather we get later that day.
You know, there is a correlation that Ariana, I believe her name is, the news girl Ariana. Have you seen her stuff? I'm trying to think of what her channel is, but she's amazing. Ariana's amazing. We'll have to tag her or something. But yeah, she does this news report thing, and she talks about it's Ariana Masters. This girl. I don't know if you've seen her before.
I'm not.
Can't tell. Yeah, I guess you're not following her. She does some amazing news stuff, but she always talks about chemtrail stuff in relation to like radio waves. And she recently did a video and was able to bring up the XRAD map where it shows all the radio frequency waves going out. And it looks like they're pillars shooting out in circles from single points, these little rays everywhere. And where they shoot out the rays, there's like no weather. And you can see where they're directing it. There's like weather. There's like all kinds of clouds. She like compares the XRAD or the NextRad with the weather map, and like you see them both, and it's like perfectly lines up. And you're like, this is really weird. And there's like, dude, it's crazy. You got to. I'll send you a video. Maybe you'll play it next time we get on.
Yeah, I'll have to do that. All right. Without further ado, let's show some videos. This is a video I literally just saw before I came on here, and I thought, this has to be played. I just knew we had to watch this video to start.
You need to see this because America been playing in our face for 9 months straight. So you telling me that they want us to believe that man and woman that took that trip out of space 9 months ago is still out of space? For a second they had me. All of that shit was really believable, but this shit ain't adding up, and especially from what I just seen. Matter of fact, look at this shit. Look at this shit. Tell me what you see wrong.
9 months, the man and the woman.
Tell me what you see wrong. Just look. You got the man and the woman. What's out of place here? How the hell did that guy get there with them? Who is that guy interviewing him? See, you know, the shit that got me was a little earlier last year, when they had the footage of them opening presents for Christmas. And I'm saying to myself, how did he get presents for Christmas? Now, you got a guy up there interviewing him? For real. So where he come from? So he just came up there and he can't leave either now. We supposed to be stupid, right? I just want to end on this note. Look at this shit. It's crazy, so man. Long that this woman's hair is going to grow right to the moon. No, really. I'm out.
Wait a second. Is that actually... That's not them that are stuck in space.
No, it is. It's the guy with the rounder face and the woman with the hair stuck up.
That's them stuck in space.
Yeah, supposedly.
Okay. That footage, I think the guy's misinterpreting the footage. I think that was from a different interview. There's no way that's them.
No, look it up. Look up stranded astronauts. I looked it up and I saw that interview being happening.
It is. I'm looking at it. 2 stuck astronauts are finally closing in on their return. Who is the guy in the middle? What do you mean, finally closing in on the return? Who's the dude in the middle? This is on AP News.
Indeed. It's an excellent question.
What? How'd that guy get there?
Oh, Brian, you're yelling into the mic now. Now you're peeking to the.
Oh,
to
shoot.
the mag.
I'm sorry. I'm distracted. I'm just so. How did that guy get there that they're interviewing him? There's no way. Why is this guy? Why can't they come home if they can send this guy there with them?
Exactly. That is the question. That's why that guy was incredulous about that video.
I have to see this video, the actual interview, because this is just too. Did you watch the actual interview?
No, I just saw that guy's video. I just thought it was funny. I mean, obviously, yeah, the guy mentions that they had Santa Claus hats,
yes,
Christmas hats, like at Christmas time, and now they were opening presents, and then this now, and they've been there for 9 months. And sorry if this sounds weight insensitive. The guy has got a really round face. He's not. I wouldn't call him fat, but at the same time, if you were stuck on the International Space Station for 9 months, like, wouldn't you be kind of like? I would think you would kind of get skinny. Don't you think? I mean, that's just. I mean, that.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't know, but I'm just saying that guy does have a little bit of a belly, and he's got a round face. And what do you guys think? I don't know.
Oh wait, I'm watching the video. When I leave, wait a second. He's literally doing an interview. Well, he's eating a lot of food, it looks like, too.
See, am I wrong? I mean, am I being insensitive, or is that being just observant?
Okay.
Wouldn't you be really pale, too, if you were stuck
I would imagine
in that place for 9 months? No real sunlight?
Okay, yeah, you're right. The dude's right. The dude is there. That guy was there to interview them, the astronauts that are supposedly stuck in space. That's legit. I just looked it up. He literally went to interview them. Why couldn't they just like hitch a ride back with that guy? Like,
he's like, all right, see you later, D-heads. I'm
going home without you. Like, how did you get this guy out there to interview? How did they get this guy out there to interview? And that's absurd.
How did they get the Santa Claus hats up there?
Well, see, the Santa Claus hats, I could say that maybe
the presents.
Maybe they just snuck some Santa Claus hats on one of the packages.
Maybe Santa Claus brought them. Maybe Santa Claus brought them. I mean, like I said, it's all make believe, anyways. I mean, like at this point, do you really believe that? And you know what? You guys obviously make up your own ideas back home, and like let us know in the comments what you guys think. You guys think this is real? But I got the perfect video, and we're going back to another classic. We're going to the Bully Slayer. This might be the video where I was like, the Bully Slayer is so legit.
Now, I'm not saying the world is flat, and I'm not saying the world is round, but it's obvious that they went to the moon because we have this footage. But I've got one question to ask you. Who stayed behind to record the takeoff? Somebody had to take one for the team to get this once in a lifetime camera shot. Rumor has it that the cameraman is still waiting on the moon till this day. Some other rumors say that there was actually 5 astronauts and the 5th one was black. But if you notice, the spacecraft looks like it goes up in the air and then comes back down. It's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good.
Free the Bully Slayer.
Yes, free the Bully Slayer, wherever he may be.
Gosh, yeah. Also an interesting question. How did they get that shot of them leaving?
That is a very peculiar question. You know, I like the sparkle effects they shot out too when it goes up. You notice like the rainbow sparkle effects that they give to it.
That's one of those things where I'm not even sure if does NASA even claim that's real, or do they claim that's a recreation done by like CBS News or somebody like that back in the day? Because there is footage that does get conflated with what NASA claims is real versus they literally, when they went to the moon, like the major networks were broadcasting like this hokey recreation footage because people at home could not imagine what it actually looks like. And so when you see that, and you see that there's that really goofy one where the guy is like floating outside the space station and his air hose is going all wacky and stuff. Yeah, they don't claim that's real. But do they claim that's real? Because that looks like a school play level of special effects with the sparkles and all that stuff.
I'm pretty sure that's recreation footage. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. Like NBC's recreation footage. But I mean, I wouldn't put it past them to like try to be like, no, it was real. And then, oh, actually, it's recreation footage now. Yeah. Because people got like wise enough to recognize.
Yeah, I think it might be a deal where they like, oh, yeah, eventually when everyone says that looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
Then they'll say, oh, that was not real. You guys kidding me? Yeah. We totally went back, though. Obviously, how'd they get back? Because they're here. They're here getting interviewed. And they're getting interviewed, and it looks like a hostage video because these astronauts don't look excited to have gone to the moon and have come back. You would think you'd be the happiest guy on Earth if you got to say, I was the first guy to walk on the moon. But that guy wouldn't even look anyone in the eye after that.
Yeah. Well, that's because he's under hypnosis. And when you start studying science of hypnosis, you realize that they're all hypnotized. Hypnosis is really the biggest secret the government holds. And hypnosis is like literally like it's witchcraft. It's how you control people with demons. So that's the big secret. All the other conspiracies, I feel like, are just like underhanded, suggested conspiracy. Like all the other conspiracies just stem from the biggest conspiracy, which is hypnosis works. Demon possession is real. That's what I think.
Did you know that Neil Armstrong, the only interview he ever did about going to the moon,
just one?
Only one. He never did another one.
Yeah, then afterwards he was probably convicted or convicted or conflicted with what he
I feel like
had.
I feel like that he was definitely like he didn't want. I think he knew. He obviously knew. I mean that's the way I get it. The body language, the way he acted after they got back was that he knew he hadn't gone, and he didn't want to lie about it.
Yeah,
but he was forced. I mean, that's what. Like I said, it seemed like that's what I said. It's like a hostage video, where it's like this guy's obviously reading this thing, and when you see the videos of those guys before they went, these guys were some backslapping, like the bells of the ball. They were loving all the press. They were making jokes, and like I said, these guys were all grinning ear to ear, which you would have thought that you might have been a little bit nervous before you were going to go because no one's ever done that before. And supposedly there's a radiation belt that's very hard to get through and you might die. But when you made it back, it's like you can imagine how excited somebody would be. Put it this way, if it is possible to go to the moon, if I went and came back, I would be ready to I'd be ready to mingle. I'd be ready to talk. I'd be ready to tell everybody how awesome it was. I would be like, you already know me. I have a lot to say already.
You wouldn't be fit for an astronaut though, bro, because that's not what they want.
I know, but I'm just saying like that you can imagine like that all the nervous tension you would have had leading up to that day. And then you do it and you would be so like, I feel like you'd have this steely, like just focus, right? Like kind of what you'd imagine an astronaut would be like. Really smart, really intense. They got a job to do. It's super dangerous, right? So you need focus. So you go up and you do that thing. It's like you getting back in a friggin' tinfoil can, basically. And then you get back to Earth. And then you fall into the ocean. And they just scoop you out. And then they had to put them in some kind of hokey fake, like what it was. It was some kind of like a
quarantine.
Some kind of quarantine that they said later they lied about because there was obviously space germs and stuff like that. Potentially, they could affect the whole planet of Earth, and everyone could die. So they get through that, and they finally get to do an interview. You would have a lot to say if you had really had gone.
Well, that's an interesting thing. Have you seen the video of the filmer guy? What's his name?
Oh, Kubrick.
Kubrick, yeah, Stanley Kubrick
everyone
video?
says that. We brought that up on the one podcast. Everyone says that's actually from another movie. It's actually not Stanley Kubrick.
It's not from another movie. That's
you don't think so?
No, it's a filming because at the very end of that filming of Stanley Kubrick talking, the guy's giving hypnotic induction commands at the very end of the
Are you
movie.
sure? Because people were pretty positive that they mentioned the thing it came from.
Oh, really? What did it come from?
I don't remember. Obviously, hit me in the comments. The Stanley Kubrick footage of him talking about faking the moon landing. If you guys got in the comments, let us know.
Yeah, because it's like straight. He's under hypnosis in that clip. Like the guy acting, the guy talking. He says, "Oh, the line is this." He's like, "Remember, your line is this," and so he's giving him a line. And so whatever at the end of it, he's feeding the lines to Stanley Kubrick to say the things he's saying. So it does look like acting. It does look like but it looks like hypnosis to me. It feels like he's giving him line hypnotic inductions. Maybe that was a clip of a scene from a movie that was filmed before it was put out and the actual filming was put out. And maybe because he's feeding him lines. He's like, what's the line? Like, it's really weird. Or what am I supposed to say, kind of, basically?
Yeah, you guys let us know in the comments. Is that legitimate or is it not? Okay, you know what? I'm going to stick with the NASA tomfoolery theme because everyone always loves that. Let's just continue here.
I still can't believe that in 2025 that I've got to put together a video to show people more evidence of NASA lying. So here's the first clip. You know, he's got gravity, they haven't got gravity, they forgot to edit out the technician. Clip number 2, guys. Notice this astronaut's necklace, it's floating. You know, he's in a no gravity zone. But watch what happens when he drops the card. That was strange, wasn't it? What about the time when there was a fly in space? Can you see it right there? Oh, there he is. And then, just keep watching. Keep watching. And here comes the fly again. Oh, there he is. Fly in space. Stop believing in the television. It's channeling you to be programmed. It might actually be time for everyone to wake up. It's okay. You can do it. You can get rid of your ego and just accept that we've been lied to and programmed our whole life. But this was just for entertainment, guys. I am just a fictional dinosaur, baby.
Yeah, Brian. So how does the gravity work in the International Space Station?
You know, it's funny because that video clip where he drops the hammer and then he drops the card, he's actually explaining in the video. He's like, what you find is very unusual. He's like, gravity actually behaves very unusual with different objects here on the International Space Station. And so he's like, for instance, heavier things tend to float. And he's like, but lighter things like this card tend to drop. And that's his explanation. And honestly, there is no up or down. So why would it drop? Okay, A. B, like, what direction is that card going to go? Like, and why would the hammer not have more gravitational pull on it to go down versus a lighter object? Like they're basically trying to make an argument that something really light, like hair or necklaces or something very small or light might potentially act unusual in zero gravity. So that way, anybody that looks through the footage and picks up on like things like their hair looking weird or whatever, or moving unusual, they can justify and go, oh yeah, that's just how gravity works in zero gravity. It doesn't work how you would think, like in water. It works a little bit differently. And which is just like, it's just absurd. It's absurd because they just want to give you that video is a justification video to tell you that if you catch any flaws, it's just gravity. That's what
just because it can do whatever we need it to do.
Yeah,
exactly like the heliocentric model is gravity does whatever it needs to be done in order for this model to work. Yeah. So how is a playing card lighter or heavier than hair? Like, so somebody's hair is going to stand straight up. Obviously, hair is really light. Obviously, it's each individual strand of hair that has to go up.
Yeah.
Right? So lighter than a playing card.
Yeah.
And then what about the guy's drink that only looked like a very small cup with very
unusual.
A small amount of liquid in there.
And he drank it, didn't he? Didn't he just grab it and drink?
He picked it up and he drank it and he set it back down.
I don't know, man. Is that guy edited in or is that legit? That's what I want to know. Like, is he, because there's no freaking way. Like, somebody had to have edited himself into a clip like that. Or if that's real, then it's just so blatantly obvious that was like, I just, yeah.
Well, there's all kinds of just ridiculous things about the International Space Station. Well, you know, it's funny. So this is why they say there's no gravity. And I just can't with this. People act like it's falling around the Earth, right? Like, so it's like literally like it's like in a free fall. They say it goes like 17,500 miles an hour. So it's kind of like if it was falling, like, yeah, there would be no gravity because it's like you're moving at such a rate. But obviously it seems these guys act like clowns up there. They're goofing off, just grabbing things. You know, like it doesn't seem dangerous at all. It seems very like it's kind of like the whole thing with the stranded astronauts. They look like they're doing fine. Am I supposed to be worried about them? They looked, the guy's obviously eating well up there. Like, what are they even doing? I have no idea what they're even doing. Just looking out the windows the whole time?
They said they're doing science.
That's what
it said in their video. They said we're doing a lot of science up here, and that's what she said. Like,
yeah. So, like, what is even happening up there? That's what I said. It's crazy to me that you have movies like Top Gun 2, and Tom Cruise is going to break Mach 10 or something like that. So, you got like 1,000 miles. I think that was like 1,000 miles an hour. These people are going 17 times that fast. And Tom Cruise, when he was going to go that fast in a jet, he had to put on a spacesuit, or what looks like a spacesuit. Like, look up what you would have to wear to go on the SR-71 Blackbird.
Yeah, but that I know what you're talking about. But it's like it looks like a spacesuit with a helmet and everything.
Yeah, because like you could imagine like the G forces and what kind of pressure that puts on you and all the things. So wouldn't you still have G forces if you were going?
Well, that's the thing, because
how do you ever get used to that?
Well, that's their excuse, is that they're technically outside of the force of gravity, so there is no more G-force pulling on you, and there's no wind resistance either in that high atmosphere because there's no particles because they're in space. So if they're flying as fast as you possibly humanly can be flying, you just wouldn't feel anything. There's no G, there's no gravitational pull, there's nothing. So it would feel like nothing technically. That's what their argument is. It's I don't know.
It's retarded. I mean, it doesn't make any sense because,
well, if you're above gravity, I mean, because the G force, if you're in the gravity space, you have G.
Yeah, but how can you be above gravity when they tell us that gravity is literally what keeps the planets in their orbits? So you think about it like that being 250, I think they say the International Space Station is 250 miles above the Earth. Obviously, that is a drop in the bucket when they tell you the distances between the sun in here, all the other planets in here, which obviously supposedly are held together by some kind of gravity. So if you were this much higher, I mean, because if you think about the circumference of the Earth, what they say, and the height, you're barely above it. So tell me that thing wouldn't be trying to pull you down toward it. So the fact that you don't feel anything, it makes no sense. And the only thing about the theory of gravity is it is a theory, and it's the theory that makes everything they say work, which they cannot prove. They cannot test. It's just, again, it's make-believe.
It's make-believe.
We're going to stick on this theme. This was not planned, but I have another video. This is a little bit longer one, but this is from my buddy Seven Club. And he had a very interesting take about the International Space Station here.
Today was a crazy day. I saw this International Space Station crossing the moon, and I thought to myself, how come it's only about a quarter of the size of a plane crossing the moon? Seems like it'd be much smaller than that. Especially when we look at the size comparison and see that both an airplane and the International Space Station are about the same size as a football field. And then you look at a football field from an airplane window and you realize that It looks pretty small from there. So then I wonder, is this really 250 miles away? Then I thought to myself, well, it can't be fake because I can go on YouTube and watch the live stream of the ISS coursing across the face of the Earth. And someone obviously took this picture, and I know you can track it, and there's people who see it all the time, but the live feed footage doesn't look much higher than a weather balloon. And we all know most satellites are launched by balloon. So then I came across this thing, which is a US patented triangular spacecraft that uses what is called unconventional spacecraft propulsion systems, which is a spacecraft having a triangular hull with vertical electrostatic line charges on each corner that produce a horizontal electric field parallel to the sides of the hull. This field interacting with a plane wave emitted by the antennas on the sides of the hull generates force per volume combining both lift and propulsion. Then I find out that these electrostatic propulsion systems are used in satellites. Then I start to look into electrostatic levitation. What? Then I find out about the electrostatics in our atmosphere, that it has an equipotential increase of 100 volts per meter, which could possibly be the reason for the downward bias of things trying to seek equilibrium on the ground. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I figure out that liquid oxygen is actually magnetic. And I'm like, wait a minute. Hold on. If liquid oxygen is magnetic and frozen oxygen is this beautiful sky blue, then does liquid oxygen somehow interact with this electrostatic orbital electromagnetic field? I don't know. Wait, what? Then I found this thing, a toroidal field made out of copper and stones. All of a sudden, he hangs this golden necklace over it, and it starts orbiting. Oh, have you seen the path of the ISS over the flat Earth? Yeah, that's the path it takes. The International Space Station path over the flat Earth. It's a toroidal field. I don't know. This is why they don't want us to do our own research, because simply just asking a question about this sent me on this whole rabbit trail, finding a lot of other things. Anyway, hey, could this thing possibly be orbiting a different way? Could the firmament be scientifically explained?
First thing, let's talk about what he said at the very beginning, because I thought that was a really interesting point, is saying that based on what we're told how big the International Space Station is, it's about the same size as one of those like 757s. I'm not even sure which type of plane he showed, like whatever, like the biggest kind of passenger plane. And yeah, so like it would be really little, right? If it was 250 miles up, but it's still, yeah, it would be really hard to see, because if it's only as big as a football field, 250 miles away, that's
like a dot speck, so tiny you could barely even see it.
Yeah, right. So what's the deal?
That is very peculiar. What I thought was more interesting was the electrostatic thing, because what if they've developed a machine to generate electrostatic like atmosphere? Like, because if you had an electrostatic atmosphere and you walked into it, that's why their hair looks like this. Like it doesn't look like if they just created a way to make an electrostatic atmosphere, that's why the hair is doing that, because that's why
the necklace floats.
Yeah.
And then the hammer floats.
That's what I'm saying. Because because electrostatic has a different response to different material and different things. And so but also when things are charged with electrostatic, like your hair, if you notice, hair will stick out evenly. The static will make each hair have the equal distance between the next hair. It does this response thing that you get, this equal distance thing, which looks kind of like how their hair is in some of those videos, versus having if you look at hair underwater, which is an example of what zero gravity should look like,
right? It would be all wavy together,
everywhere, flowy, kind of just moving wherever. That's what zero gravity looks like, hair underwater. But hair under static has its own dissonance, like between each individual strand because of the charge.
Dude, this makes so much sense. Just think about it, bro. Like, that's why they're on wires, because people don't float because of electrostatic magnetism, but metal objects float. That's why the cup stays where it did, because it was a plastic cup.
Well, some plastics substitutable to electrostatic.
But so you really think about but you think about, like, so when they do show stuff, and again, like, I'm still not saying this is we're theorizing.
Theories, yeah.
They have like they have those gyroscopes, and they always show those things floating. But what if it was magnetized and it did actually float? Because it is metal. And then the things that are not metal are the things that they, like themselves, have to be either on wires or they're CGI.
Yeah. I mean, they could have easily made a chamber of some kind that is like just a giant electrostatic built chamber that creates its own gravitational response. So certain people or certain things or certain objects simulate when they flip it on, it just like probably like fills the whole room, and certain things kind of have a floaty response and certain people don't. Like, that could be what they're doing, rather than just, because my theory was that they had to have been in upper atmosphere with a lot of these things. They had to have been in an airplane doing like zero gravity drops, but they did do a video that was like a 24-hour video of them or something like that, where they were on the International Space Station just like answering questions and stuff, and they left it on for like a certain long period of time. And I'm like, there's no way that airplane is dropping for multiple hours. Like, they would have had to like drop it, lift it, drop it, lift it. And so like maybe they had some kind of thing that they were doing that was like not able, they would like do certain things during a certain time while the plane's going up, and then drop it to do their experiments after. But had they have instead built some type of electrostatic chamber that mimics, and they're just on wires in some capacity, like, that would be also another plausible solution to how they're governing some of these sort of effects when they're working with NASA, which again means to deceive in Hebrew. So let's not forget.
Yeah, and there's no way that thing's going 17,000 miles an hour. I still don't. That's the dumbest part about it, because if you think about it, if something was going across the sky at 17,000 miles an hour, it wouldn't be going across long before it was gone. You know what I'm talking about? Like, seriously, like, just think about what our vantage point is in the sky. 17,000 miles an hour.
What is that jet that went so fast it like they vibrate and they obliterated? What's the jet that did that? You know what I'm talking about?
There's all I know is that the SR-71, they say that they have to have, there's like gaps where like supposedly the fuel leaks out, right? And because it heats up and expands because it's going so fast when it's going on target. So I don't know, but I mean, yeah, I mean, if a jet could go 1,000, I mean, just think about it, 1,000 miles an hour, how quickly that would be gone if you looked up and saw it.
It says
a bullet.
NASA...
You know how fast a bullet goes, Brian?
Yeah, like 12,000.
No, 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, 1,000. 1,200 is like a 22 goes, I think.
Yeah, so we're talking about something that goes like
1,200. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, it goes over 10 times that fast.
Okay, it says the NASA X-43A unmanned experimental vehicle utilizes equipment, blah, blah, blah. It achieved a record-breaking speed of Mach 9.6, equivalent to 7,366 miles per hour during a test flight in 2024. There was an airplane. I don't know which one it is. It's like the SR-71 is the other notable aircraft. It's one of the fastest. I forget what it was, but there was an airplane. I think it was a manned one. It must have been the SR-71, but they said that the plane was going so fast that it began, like, some wind caused a part of the plane to vibrate, and the vibration vibrated the plane at such high speeds that the entire plane disintegrated, because the atoms of the vibration of the wind blowing through that part of the plane made the plane's metal and everything just disintegrate, and the pilot and everything, it like literally vibrated at a perfect frequency that was like just going along. It hit that wind resistance, caused the vibration, just, and it just evaporated. I don't know. Some pilot was talking to me about this. I don't know the story behind it. I don't know the details behind it. I don't even know if it's true. I was just talking to some random pilot guy about this, and he was telling me that there was I think it was an SR-71 plane test flight that disintegrated midair, and I guess it happened like 2 or 3 times that they had to like specially engineer some type of like anti-frequency thing to stop the plane from vibrating into disintegration. Yeah. Okay. I don't know how true this is, but that makes sense.
I decided to ask ChatGPT what gases are 250 miles above the Earth. Okay, so as people were saying, as you said, that they say, which I'm not saying you were wrong about what they say, but when they act like there's no resistance, so they don't feel speed, well, there's atomic oxygen, there's nitrogen, there's helium, and there's hydrogen there. And it also says the air density is extremely low and temperatures can get very high, over 2,500 degrees. Wow. Though it wouldn't feel hot because of the sparse particles are there. Whatever. There's obviously a big old metal thing up there. So that thing doesn't get hot when it's that hot. So see that again, when you actually research what the science supposedly says, the atmosphere there's not like a firmament like we believe. It bleeds up in forever, I guess. I mean, like, I don't know how high up all the gases go. But if there's gas, it's just like being here where there's air. Uh-huh. So there still would be some kind of resistance. And if you're going that fast, don't tell me there's not resistance. Because if there's that much heat, there's gases, then there's friction. If there's friction, there's heat. There's no way you're just wearing polo shirts up there going that fast.
Well, they're inside of a shield, bro. So the shield stops the
You'd be pinned to the back of it, right? Like you'd be stuck like that.
Well, you'd only feel that if gravity is what makes you feel G's, right? So if you're really high up, then you don't feel the gravitational G's, supposedly.
I don't know. I can't even with that. Because again, if you're going that fast, you have to feel it.
Well, you would feel it and the initial, right? As it's speeding up, you'd feel that, but once you're up to speed, then all of a sudden it would be like, okay, we're good. It's like when you step on a car. If you're going 100 miles an hour, you don't feel the G's once you're consistently going 100 miles an hour.
But why don't you feel why don't you feel it? I don't get it. I cannot picture that, because if it's going all the way around, I mean, if the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour and this thing's going 17,000 miles an hour, it's going over 17 times as fast. How do you not feel that?
Well, it's like, okay, so if you're in a car and you step on the gas, right, and you go up to 100 miles an hour, you're going to be like, ooh, feeling it. But once you're at the 100, the gravitational pull of your body moving with that, it's like normal. So you can
I think you'd still be pinned back in the seat if you're going that fast.
No, you won't.
Well, I mean, that's the whole thing with G-forces. I mean, they have to be feeling that at some point.
I mean, I've driven
over. You know what? But you know what? If you saw that what Seven Club showed in the video, he showed that the path is a toroidal field, so it's changing directions too. So you can't say it's not constant.
I don't know.
I'm just going to say it's all BS. I don't believe it. You guys can believe what you'd like, but I think it's highly questionable. And with that being said, we're going to switch gears dramatically here. This is almost like you're going to feel the G-forces from how quick you might get whiplash from this video here.
Where's the international outcry for what's going on in Syria right now? Do you lot even know what's going on in Syria right now? Because Western media doesn't seem to really like reporting on it. Well, reportedly up to 1,800 Christians and people belonging to the Alawite minority have been unalived by Turkish-backed jihadis. Now, these jihadis being backed by Turkey, I would thought would be international news. I mean, Turkey's not exactly an insignificant country, is it? And it's right on Europe's doorstep. Now, for context, at the time of filming, it's Saturday. Since Thursday, 225 Christians and Alawites have been killed. Now, there are videos showing executions of civilians, including women, children, and the elderly. But where's the international outcry? Where's the mainstream reporting? Where's the people taking to the streets? Nowhere.
because the people committing these atrocities are Muslim and they're being backed by Turkey, and everyone's too scared to say anything about it.
That is a whiplash change, bro. Whiplash change for sure. But
I had to play that video. Obviously, I had to play that video just because of what he said. It's like that it's 100% true what he said, is that this is not getting any press. This is obviously certain people, obviously on social media are talking about it. People on Twitter are talking about it, or X. But by and large, I would say most people do not know about that story. And it's really interesting. Of course, we played some Candace Owens videos with that last week about the Macron stuff. But she mentioned that if they remove Assad from Syria, this is going to be the result. So she was correct about that. And she's not the only person to say that. But yeah, I think, again, this is where people need to really start understanding what they show us and what they do not show us. So they want to talk about Israel and all the bad things that happen there. And because dispensationalism and the modern Zionist American church wants to say, oh, you got to support that. Well, you know that they wanted Assad gone. Israel did. Now it's happened. And now Christians are being slaughtered. And so when you really think about it, so biblically, that who's true Israel is believers. So you're going to pray for the nation of Israel. But how much are you praying for true Israel? The ones who believe in the promise of Abraham and Isaac, who are children of Israel by the Spirit. And I think that really is a big stain right now, is that people don't even know that because you're too focused on fleshly Israel. It's just, like I said, I mean, I know this obviously is dramatic whiplash, but I mean, it has to be said. And if I don't say this, is like, I would feel that would be a sin for me, because I would have a guilty conscience for not talking about this, because I do like to laugh on this show a lot. But I mean, I have to talk about this because it is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking that no one seems to care.
It's really sad. In fact, people are denying that it's happening or whatever. Like I talked to a Muslim friend of mine, and he was like, "That's not even happening." And I was like, "Bro, pretty sure it's happening." And he's like, "Well, it's not the Muslims." Like, and I'm like, "Why is it not the Muslims?" And he was like, "Because it's like," he's like, it's all made up. He's like, they've made this perspective for you to think that it's the Muslims doing everything wrong. He's like, it's not the Muslims. He lives in, by the way, like right next to Israel, in London. And he said it's like 40 minutes from his house. And so he was like just telling me some of the stuff of what's really going on. He's like, it's not, a lot of these militant Islamic extremists, those people are brainwashed. He's like, those people are brainwashed by somebody or some other country to believe something and to do something that is very heinous. These people are they're under hypnosis. They don't even know what they're doing half the time. They are being like manipulated. They're being played. And if you follow the money trail tends to always point back to the little country with the people with the funny little hats and the star flag. All of the money does, no matter whether it's Islamic extremists or whatever. When you look at it, it points back to it's Israel. Yeah. It's been Israel. It's always Israel. It's always been Israel.
I think to me what it is that it's because Israel wanted Assad gone. See, I think did Muslims do it? I mean, do they have some kind of, I don't know. I mean, were they really Muslims? Who cares? I mean, I don't think that it has anything to do with it. I think what it really has to do with, because what that your friend was trying to say is that they want people to believe it's Muslims because they want this as a story, but they don't want this story out. So whoever did the murders, maybe potentially they'll say our fallback is to say Muslims did it. But the truth of the matter is that many people want to destabilize the Middle East. Obviously, it's already pretty destabilized, but it's been becoming more and more destabilized since obviously 2001, and it continues. And I think that's one of those things that really kind of woke me up, like I guess politically, was that I was in my early 20s during September 11th, and I was rah team elephant, and I was saying, yeah, we got to stop the terrorists. Let's go over to Afghanistan. It's kind of weird to go over to Iraq because I don't think they did anything, but they say they got weapons of mass destruction, so let's go do this. 20 years later, we're still doing all that stuff. But I remember when Obama got in there, and by then I was kind of like, these wars do kind of seem like they're really not doing anything. So if he wants to stop the wars, whatever. I don't even know what we're doing there anymore. But then he wants to take out Gaddafi in Lebanon and then take out Assad in Syria. And you're like, wait a minute. I thought you were anti-war. And that's when I said, oh no, we've all been had. Even like the one thing that I thought was okay about him was stopping the wars. I thought, okay, well, fine. And that's fine. But then he's going to start different ones. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that he would want to start more wars? Who does that benefit? Well, obviously it benefits people who sell bombs and bullets and weapons and jets and tanks. It also benefits people who rebuild the places after they get destroyed. And you know who it also benefits? I don't know.
Countries that take it over.
It also benefits the country who is against those countries.
Yeah.
Who do you think that is? Who do you think benefits for having all their enemies taken out in the Middle East?
I wouldn't even call them enemies. All the people in the land that they want to possess.
Yeah. What is that? What is that map where they have that Greater Israel map that shows like them literally taking over parts of Syria and
Egypt too? I think it has on there.
Yeah, I mean, like again, like
they tried to get us to go to war with Egypt. They literally tried because they wanted parts of it.
Yeah, there was that Arab Spring. There was some all this stuff going on over there. I mean, again, what benefit does this have to the United States? All the stuff that's going on. Yeah, it makes no sense. And again, this is the result. I mean, if somebody like Candace Owens can point out, if you take out Assad, you're going to have extremists kill Christians. Okay, so is she a prophet or is she just able to read intel? So why don't we do that? Because they don't care. And again, they didn't want you to know that Christians are being slaughtered. That's why we have to talk about it, because they don't talk about it on the main street. Or they might say 5 seconds about it. But then they bring up October 7th all the time. Again, who's true Israel? It's not about bloodlines. It's about belief. All right, let's switch topics here. We're going to go, again, we're going to get some more G-Forces whiplash here. I was going to do the cat video. Should we do a palate cleanser and we'll show the cat video?
Sure. Go for it.
I totally feel like that's what my cats think, that they're like at 4 a.m. when they're doing God knows what, making all kinds of noise. I think they feel like that they're the action cats.
Action cats brought to you this summer. I can see the the commercial. It's like all the commercials, back in the day. Action cats, let them take out the enemy. Watch them decimate.
Let's send the action cats to the Middle East.
The action cats sent to the Middle East, they'll definitely win. They'll take over.
I'm sure Raytheon probably builds those suits for cats. They could sell them, they would. Okay, all right. Now we're gonna go weird. Let's get weird.
I mean, we have grown human-animal chimeras already you have a creature that's part human and part animal. A lot of this research is not necessarily being published because it's ethically controversial, and a lot of the people that are working on it don't necessarily want public blowback. This is being done especially here in California. We're not breeding a human with an animal to get something in the middle. We're actually creating an entity that has some body parts that are pig or sheep or whatever, and other body parts that are human. We have grown animals that are pretty close to having potentially viable human organs. Theoretically, could we develop an animal that had a much more human-like brain? It seems plausible.
Humanizing the
human.
pig.
What are we to make of this creature? Questions about the human soul. I think we're tinkering with systems that we barely understand, and I think the possibility of creating more human-like animals is a real one that cannot be dismissed. I'm not a vegetarian. I do eat pigs, but I don't believe it's just okay to do anything and everything I want to a pig before I slaughter it to make some bacon. The ethical treatment of animals is also an important consideration. I mean,
oh boy, I messaged them and I want them to bring me on their podcast. I want to talk about this in so much more detail.
Is it the Lily Rose podcast? I guess that was on, but was that guy a normal guest, or is he just a guest on her podcast?
I don't know. I just saw the video and I was like, dude, I wrote them a comment. It was like, this guy, I think he's a scientist of some sorts. I'm not sure. But yeah, I definitely want to talk about that, because that dude, like, he's touching on a subject that so many people are unaware of the intricacies of that. Like, there is so much experimentation going on in this realm, but people are not aware of what the experimentation is. They're not real. They don't even know they don't even know the complexities of what's happening in this realm and this reality.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. I mean, I know that you touched on that in Ancient Angels. You had a section where you talked about that.
Yeah, there's they showed the image of that rat that they were able to grow a human ear on cartilage. They grew cartilage of a human ear on a rat's back. Okay. And that was something that they let go onto the news, but they've been chimerizing parts of animals and growing creatures. But the problem is the creatures, they'll grow, but a lot of them, they die at a certain point. They won't become a viable creature of some kind. And so, but they're still trying to experiment to understand if they were to make a hybrid animal human thing. Like, there's a difference between genetic hybridization and chimerism. So chimerism they can do. So like, you can make like a bird with a half of another animal's body on it, and it will grow some kind of creature, and it might live for a minute. It might live very short lifespan, but it might exist. And we're able to do that in a lot of ways. But the offspring of that thing will not be, if it does have offspring, it won't be a replicatable thing. It's only a one-off. It'll only produce whatever was in that animal system in the reproductive part.
It kind of reminds me of like, there was, I think it was in one of the terrible Alien movies. The first couple Alien movies were awesome. Now, I think it might have been like Alien Resurrection or something like that. And it's kind of a theme in a lot of these movies where they're doing weird tests on some kind of genetic, life forms and stuff. And so they go in, I think they're walking through this room, and there's all these weird hybrid type aliens mixed with people in there. And they're all it looks like they're kind of all in some kind of liquid, maybe like formaldehyde. Because obviously it's all the mistakes, so they made these things. Obviously they grew to a certain state, but they obviously could not live. Mm-hmm. I think that's real. I mean, I'm saying like the alien thing, but I'm saying like, that there's a place where that stuff is happening, where like you would go in there and you'd probably lose your lunch because you can't even believe the stuff that they're doing in there. Oh, it would be so disgusting because this is not natural. This is not godly. This is satanic.
Well, did you hear about the mermaid eating party thing that they were talking about?
Somebody in the comment section said, "What about mermaid eating? Do you have a video for that?"
Yeah, no, there is no video for it. Okay, but there is people talking about it.
The elite are eating mermaids, and I know what they taste like. I did get another email from someone that went to the party. They actually paid to go to the party, and they told me what they taste like. Let's read that email, shall we? We're going to call him Jonah because I think that's funny. Jonah said, I had spent my life chasing the rare, the forbidden, the experiences that others whispered about but never dared to pursue. I had sipped snake venom-infused whiskey in Japan, dined on endangered delicacies in hidden European supper clubs, and even paid an absurd amount to eat a meal cooked on lava in Iceland. When he heard about the mermaid parties, he was down to go, and he said that he paid $50,000 for his ticket. He wasn't told about the location until the day of the party, that a black limo came and picked him up, took him to the party. He said the host was in a white suit wearing a mask, like a masquerade mask, and said, welcome. Tonight you will partake in a dish once served for the kings of lost civilizations, a delicacy that vanished from history until now. Now here's what he said it looked like. Their torsos were eerily human, slender arms, delicate collarbones, pale faces, frozen in serene stillness. But from the waist down, their bodies shimmered with blue-green scales ending in powerful tails. Below their ribs had been with precision, revealing rich marbled meat beneath. A server placed a dish in front of Jonas, thinly sliced filet, lightly seared, resting in a golden broth infused with herbs he didn't recognize. The aroma was intoxicating, sweet, briny, complex. The flavor was exquisite. It was unlike anything he had ever known, sweet like scallops, rich like Wagyu beef, with a depth of umami that seemed to awaken something deep in his senses. It was as if he were tasting the ocean itself, not just its bounty, but its soul. That's his words, not mine. He then said, a warmth spread through my body, my heartbeat slowed, my breath deepened. Around me, the other guests had closed their eyes, their faces soft with pleasure. A sound, and then he describes it as no, not a sound, but a feeling, a low, resonant hum, a vibration in my bones, in my blood. That his mind was filled with visions of deep blue waters, endless and calm, filled with whispers, not words, but emotions, memories, as if the sea itself had opened to him, revealing its secrets. He felt it, the pull, the connection. They were all enjoying it. The host raised a glass and said, to those who dine beyond the edge of the world, said 10 out of 10 would recommend, and he would do it again.
What about when we showed that one video of that fish eating that mermaid, or trying to?
What was it?
Remember the lady wearing the mermaid costume was getting the fish sucked her head into his mouth?
That comes up. That's what comes up when you type in mermaid eating video.
So you're saying that was the psyop? That's the thing to throw us off the trail?
I don't know. I think that might have been the inspiration for this person to make up the fake story, honestly, because I think it is a fake story. But they did mention, the guy mentioned that the mermaid, he said, had a floral taste to it. A floral taste.
Wait, who's saying they ate a mermaid?
Some random dude online said he paid $50,000 to go to a party, and there was only a few exclusive people there and some celebrities, and he paid a bunch of money, and they brought out a dish, and it was a mermaid on the platter, which to me is probably just a trafficked child. But
was it? Let me guess. Was it hosted by Marina Abramovic and Lady Gaga?
Yeah, that's what I would assume. If it's that, if anything, if it's real, I don't even think if it's real. Okay, I don't believe that it's real. But if it is anything, it could be a failed experiment of some kind, something like this. Or option B, it would be a human trafficked person who they just cut the stomach off and then glued a fishtail on, or something. Or C, it's not real and it's just a made up story, which I'm kind of leaning towards C. But because the video, I guess it got taken down, and everybody making response videos to it all got taken down, which is a little weird. Like on TikTok, I tried to look for it and I couldn't find his original video. It was like everything kept getting removed. But yeah, I don't know what to think of it. It's very it's suspicious that it's getting removed. That's the suspicious part, because people are seeing it, but it's not there.
TikTok,
I don't know. It's a little weird. It's a little bit weird.
Yeah, it's weird, but it's weird. So what you said is that you can bring some kind of a weird thing past some kind of certain stage, but wasn't it your belief that obviously God has to put breath in this animal in order for it to actually live?
Yeah, so a hybrid won't live beyond a certain point. Now, a chimera can live beyond a certain point because it's still partially that animal, and chimeras will live up to a certain age and then they die. So chimeras can go beyond that. In fact, chimeras, if you have a chimeric human response, you can live, just as long as any other person does too. You can actually, there's people that have chimerism where it's like they're half of their body or half of their face or half of their stomach like down the middle sometimes, or it's like sideways across it, like is different skin with different body.
So the chimera is when it's like you have
two things joined in one.
Is it kind of like a griffin or something like that in mythology?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
it's like a lion body and it's got like a bird head and then it's got wings, right?
Yep. That would be a chimera, yeah.
So there's there's like a clear line between the different
Bird
types
or
of
lion,
species. Yeah. So if like you had like, I don't know, something with like a snake body, like a woman, like a Medusa. Is that like Yeah, but
a woman top half and the bottom half be a snake, that's a chimera technically.
So what was the other variant of that? A hybrid. So a hybrid would be something that would that be more like a mule?
Yeah, like a mule, something that's mixed or blended. So it's like a hybrid when both characteristics of the creature are present in all of its cells. So both of the DNA.
So the liger is
the liger, yes. It would be an example of a hybrid. Yeah. So, and then that's definitely and it has its own unique characteristic expression. The liger does. And so the liger would reproduce a liger as well. Whereas a chimera would only reproduce whatever the genital part of the animal that exists is that animal.
But weren't you saying that that it's rare for the hybrids to be able to reproduce?
It's very rare. They don't reproduce. In fact, there's some very rare situations where hybrids can reproduce, and if they reproduce of their own hybrid creature.
How do you explain all the dogs, all the different kinds of breeds of dogs?
Dogs are explained sort of through genetic Punnett square manipulation. Like, and if you looking into like, they basically
how do you go from a wolf
to a chihuahua?
To a chihuahua.
You just basically take the smaller dog of the smaller dog of the smaller dog of the smaller dog, and you just keep reproductively reproducing it, and you try to push forth the little runt of the litter of the runt of the runt of the runt. And then, as these runts come out, these distortions also come out in their genes. And so the genes start to look a little bit different and start to look a little bit funny. And then you get these weird looking hybridized things. And, that you can breed for those weird traits further and further based on like, oh, this dog turned out looking real weird. Let's breed that thing. And then you get things like Shar-Peis or like those, weird looking ugly animals that you feel so bad for. They're just so ugly that it's kind of cute somehow. And it would never survive in the wild. Yeah, that's just literally just hybridization. It's just breeding into traits that exuberate more of a certain trait.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is when I saw that show Fallout, and so in the different bunkers, different scientists were doing different types of experiments. And one of them, they had some kind of a fish woman in there, I think. And they made monsters in these places. Like I said, I've theorized on multiple podcasts that I said, what if the cryptid phenomenon was not a spiritual entity? What if it was just some kind of bastardized mad science project? I mean, it could be both, because obviously we have no idea what any of them really are. And we have never, the only pictures are blurry. So we really don't even know what they look like. So what if, potentially Bigfoot is some remnant of the Nephilim, but then some kind of other Mothman or whatever, some kind of thing you see in the sea. What was it like in the Montauk Monster? Was some kind of weird looking lizard something thing? You know what I'm talking about? You ever seen that picture of that?
Let me look it up.
I'll find a picture of it. Yeah. Montauk Monster. Yeah, the Montauk Monster, which is really interesting because it actually it's really close to where like the Stranger Things mythos comes from. Camp Hero, Project Montauk, whatever. This is a small picture of it. You see this, Brian?
Yeah, that looks like like some kind of raccoon that's like lost all its hair, got mange. It's on a beach, so maybe it like
but it looks like it's got a beak, doesn't it?
Yeah, but that's kind of like but that could be its nose was eaten off.
I don't know. I don't think that looks like a raccoon at all.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like its nose got eaten off, like part of its nose. and that's just the bones underneath it. Yeah, that's got some fur on it. It does look like raccoon fur. I mean, like, that's interesting. So it could have been, it's possible it could be something else. Who knows? But like, usually
there's a closer picture of its face.
Yeah, that's its nose got eaten off.
I don't think that looks like a raccoon to me.
Well, no, because it's lost
why is
all
it
its
perfectly?
hair.
But why would a raccoon have no hair like that?
Well, look up a bear with mange. Look up bear with mange. Look that up.
I don't know if I want to. See.
Look at that, bear with mange, and so like, okay, so there is some depictions. If you scroll down, you'll see it without any hair at all, and it don't look like. Yeah, like there you go.
Yeah,
it looks like another kind of creature, and so like there's a disease where the animals will lose their hair, and like there's one dude. This one's gnarly. If you can see this one, I don't know if you see this one. It looks like a completely different creature. Right there, right that one. That's a bear with mange, bro. Look at that thing.
Yeah,
that looks like a different animal.
It does. It certainly does. Well, this one picture right here,
bro. Ooh. Look at that thing.
Yeah, that's
dude.
Weird.
That looks like a person in a skin suit of some kind too. Almost kind of.
Yeah, it does.
So like,
well, I mean, we'll put it this way. I guess at this point, we could both be correct that could be a science experiment's gone wrong, or it could also be maybe that's what people think whatever cryptid they saw was. Because if they saw that, they certainly wouldn't think it was a regular animal.
No, I mean it's definitely unusual to say the least.
Yeah. So, anyways, I guess all that being said, we know that they're trying.
Yeah.
They say that they're trying.
Well, they're doing it in labs, so it's like they are doing it. Like I know somebody that was doing it. So like I know that it's happening. Like, so I don't know to what extent other labs are doing, but I know there's at least one guy that I know that's doing it. So they're, who knows to what extent it's doing behind the scenes. Like they're not telling us what's happening.
And they won't. Again, once they start to say that, then yeah, they're pretty far down the road of what they're quote unquote trying.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got maybe room for maybe two more. It's funny, every time I say we got one more video, there's always at least two. So we're coming to the end here, but let's check this out. This one's been in the news. A lot of people have been talking about this one.
You know what? They did the Brighter Days memory erasure treatment to me, so I'm having trouble remembering the details. They're foggy because at the Brighter Days clinic, they do the memory erasure,
If you could remember, struggle, tell me, give me a date.
You know what? I'll have to go back to the clinic and see if they can restore my memory.
What's happening with Ariana?
There's a better video that I found of her before and after she did that. What's that movie, Wicked, with that girl, the other girl that.
Oh yeah, yeah, like her, her weight, like she's lost so much weight, and obviously she was not heavy by any means. She was obviously in good shape, and she's just so skinny now.
Dude, the before and after video, she's like got bright eyes and like looking all good, but and afterwards her eyes are just like, and then that other girl just looks like creeping. She's like bald and like she looks like stinking Gollum, like creeping around, following her and like sniffing her, and you're like, ugh, that's uncomfortable. Like,
did you hear that bald woman, whatever her name is going to play the lead in Jesus Christ Superstar? They got her playing Jesus.
Oh my gosh, that demon is so happy. That demon is like laughing happy. That demon is ridiculous, bro. Oh my gosh.
It's like you can't even with this stuff. What is it though? Somebody was saying though that clip from Ariana Grande, she was kind of joking.
She was making a joke referring to the movie with the brightest sunshot, spiteless sunshot mind. What is that?
The Jim Carrey movie.
The Jim Carrey movie. The something
The
Spotless Mind.
Yeah, something like I know what you're talking about.
Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I forget. Anyways, but there apparently in that movie there is a clinic called Brighter Days, and you go there to get your memory erased, and they erase your memory. Okay, and so that Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That's what I think.
I think you got it. I think you nailed it.
And so in that movie, there's that clinic, and she's making a joke referring to that movie and that clinic. But either way, she's making a joke referring to this weird, creepy Jim Carrey movie that's slightly disturbing when you really kind of think about it.
Yeah, what's the context of that? Like, why would is that a really that popular movie and would catch that reference?
Apparently not enough people did, because I looked it up and was like, "There's no." I'm like, somebody sent me that video. I was like, This is a joke. She's joking about. I'm like, where does this come from? And so I figured it out in that movie or whatever. But yeah, it's definitely suspicious. It's definitely, I mean, like, she's not joking. Like, that's what demons do. They erase your memory.
Yeah.
So like, she is telling a true statement potentially, but she's just putting it in a funny movie reference packaging that she probably does struggle to remember, or she doesn't want to talk about it or whatever. But there's probably trauma tethered to a certain point. I mean, that girl's gone through so much trauma. You can just see it on her face. She's been abused and molested, and all kinds of terrible things have happened to that girl. Okay, like that Ariana Grande, I feel so bad for you. Like, literally, I feel so bad for her, and you can see the oppression on that girl. Like, yeah. And so yeah, it's sad.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's like when you first heard that, you're like, yeah, of course you went to some kind of clinic because you've been MK Ultra.
Yeah,
it's like she looks like the poster child for that, the Project Monarch, whatever, like the butterfly, the Alice in Wonderland stuff, all the things like that is what you get. And so when she makes that joke, it's not funny because everyone's like, ha ha ha, because is it a joke or is it a revelation of the method? Because it certainly seems like if those clinics exist, which they do, she's actually gone to one of them.
Yeah.
Because the transformation she's gone through. And so there's a couple really interesting old clips I remember seeing of Ariana Grande where she went to this place in Missouri, I think, somewhere outside of Kansas City, that was like supposedly like this graveyard where it's like a doorway to hell. Did you ever hear about that, Brian? Yeah, like she went to this place with her friends and she was, I don't know, checking out the doorway to hell because it was spooky. Right. And she talked about it on MTV, I think. And then afterwards, they got all freaked out. There was something really weird happen. And then demons followed them back to wherever they were, because then people were having all these weird things happen to them afterwards.
I vaguely remember this story.
Yeah, something like that. I'm kind of paraphrasing the story. I probably got a little bit of it wrong. But yeah, so that happened. And then so I played, I don't remember what episode it was, but we talked about her a little bit in the Wicked Dolls, right? And then she went on some guy's podcast and she was saying that she's a witch. And she's like, no, I'm not kidding. A literal witch. And you see the state she's in. Does she look like she's doing well, people?
Does she look healthy?
No, she looks, she looks really, really troubled. And again, this is always good. Seems like quite a theme with the child stars, right? She started in the business when she was very young. Reminds me of like us when we were talking about Bieber, and they had that The Whitest Kid You Know skit where my parents sold me to a big producer, and the song was called
Very
Help.
Sad. Yep.
Like, what do you think? Like, obviously children are not old enough to make decisions to become actors and singers and all the things. So yeah, that story is true for Bieber. It's true for pretty much every child star, right?
Yep. Yeah. Trevor Moore, rest in peace, my friend.
Yeah. You know what? And so on that note, this sort of relates. This is a video that Brian sent about Prince. I know Brian loves this video.
I have a big problem with a lot of today's movies. I had a discussion with a friend of mine recently, and I asked him if he thought that, I won't say the name, but a very popular horror flick, if it was real or fake. And he said, it's fake. And I said, why don't you tell me one of the scenes from it? And he said, okay. And he told me one of the scenes. I said, it's with you, isn't it? It's going to be with you the rest of your life, isn't it? And he said, what do you mean? I said, it's now a part of you. It's now a part of your fiber. And what you watch and what you listen to turns into you. And I think it's important that we start to have some sort of censorship. We've turned that word into a bad word, but it's really, we're kind of jacking our kids' brains up. Yeah. We need to start examining this stuff a little bit more closely. Turn the TV off just like for a week. What if we just shut down for a week and everybody had to find stuff to do? Yeah. And then we'd really have Y2K, huh? Yeah.
It's the truth. He's speaking truth.
Well, you sent that video to me, so I knew you agreed.
Oh yeah, 100% agree. Like that is so people don't understand. Like I don't watch movies for this exact reason. I'm on the same space there, bro. I just don't do it. Like because every time I watch a movie, I pick up on the subtle witchcraft that comes through. Like I'm picking up on the spells they're putting onto you. And to the point where it's like I can't even watch the movie and enjoy it. Like I'm just like, yeah, no, I reject that in the name of Jesus. I rebuke that in the name of Jesus. I reject that in the name of Jesus. Like every 5 minutes, bro. It's just like, okay, I don't even want to watch. I don't want it. I don't want that. I don't receive that. I don't receive the narrative that they're trying to sell you and push onto you, because they are trying to sell you a narrative and they are putting spells when you come into agreement with it. That's how witchcraft works. And Prince is talking about it, whether he realizes he's a part of it or not. Like he was actively putting spells on people. Like, and he, like, I think at one point he realized it. And then at another point he realized he was wrong and he tried to escape it. Like, and then he got killed or died, right? Because he started going against the system and he became a Christian. And I know I met the pastor actually that brought him to the Lord. And I had a conversation with the guy.
I did not know that Prince became a Christian.
Yeah, he became a Christian at the end. And so like I met the pastor dude that brought him to the Lord and was going to his parties. And he would invite everybody over and everybody would expect that it would be like some crazy Prince party and there was going to be like drugs and, debauchery. And they'd show up and Prince pulled out a guitar and started playing worship music. Like, so all the people were like, what the heck? I thought this was going to be some like crazy party. And he started playing worship music, bro. And he did that a bunch towards the end. And then he died spontaneously.
Hey, look,
so,
I got an action cat.
Action cats.
You think I could fit this baby out with some missiles?
Yeah, some guns and missiles and some like a big shark fin. I'll 3D print you some action cat parts.
Yeah, there you go. No, that's interesting. That's really interesting. I mean, I think that Prince is a really, really interesting guy. There's some of the best short clips I've seen on the interwebs is Prince saying things like he mentions that when he found out there were 7 presidents before George Washington, he wanted to slap somebody. What else did he say? He was talking about how these planes would go above the neighborhood and everyone would be fine, and the next day everyone would be fighting each other. Did you ever see that one?
I did see that one.
He's got lots of clips like that where he's revealing certain truths, and I think that I always do wonder with people like him, because was he in the club? Yeah, of course he was in the club. I mean, he was as famous as anybody. So, but I do wonder if he's obviously very talented. Is it some person who does get to the club because they're so good at something, and then when they almost feel like, I do feel like there's a lot of them, and this could be like a Michael Jackson situation too. But again, he's like another child star. But you have like this person who, like, they want to be in the club at some point, but then they realize, I'm big enough where I don't need to be in the club. I'm Prince. I'm Michael Jackson. You know what I'm saying? Like they say, and then that's when they say, you think you don't need us? Like that. I think that's like maybe the level, because it's like this person could be independently famous just for being good at something. But I wonder if they do learn things and they do kind of get like, maybe they do have the conscience, their mind isn't totally debased, and they do tell people the truth sometimes because they do genuinely are concerned about what they find out.
I have a perspective on that, and I would say that there's two different categories of individuals that become part of the club. There's people that are made part of the club, like they just select you and make you. Like for instance, Kesha is a good example of one of those. Okay,
Right.
so Kesha was selected as a nobody and made into a somebody. Okay, there's a lot of celebrities that and singers that they were selected. I mean, like, dude, American Idol. If you go
Right.
on
Yeah.
American Idol, you're a selected individual to determine, like, okay, how good are you at control and hypnosis and everything. And they use these and then there's raised individuals like Britney Spears and all the people that are part of the Mickey Mouse Club. They were born into it and they were selected as well, but they're kind of like raised. And then there's people that are talented that become part of the club. And these people are a little bit different. Okay. These people are so talented and so, capable that they try to select them and they try to manipulate them into being part of the club, but they really kind of go against the system, and their club tactics of brainwashing don't fully work or absorb. Like, for instance, Michael Jackson was, he was a part of the club, but he was also incredibly talented, but he was also raised. He's a little bit of both, in all the situations, because he was raised, but he was also being manipulated and molested by his own dad. Openly, he talked about his dad oiling him down and doing terrible things to him and beating him naked. Okay. So like he mentions this, like, so his dad was abusing him. And so when he started to come up, they thought this boy is a perfect candidate for hypnotic mind control. He's already disassociated. So they take people like him and they try to put spells on him and control him because they're already activated the disassociated part of their mind. But the problem is Michael Jackson was not okay with the disassociated part of his mind, and he fought against it. And then when they realize, hey, these guys are fighting against the disassociation, they start to wake up. They know a little bit too much. Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot. We got to get rid of them. I think Prince was one of those people that he had some abuse as a child, probably had some terrible things, had a part of his mind that he disassociated with, and they thought that they could control him, and he was really talented and got to this level, built him up, and then they realized, oh, we can't stop this. We can't control him. He's still waking up from his disassociation. We got to get rid of him. That's literally what I think is happening. So you're either a talented one, you're a raised individual, or you're selected. And either way, they want to make sure that the basis of being a part of the club is how much disassociation and hypnotic control do they have over these individuals. And then when they lose control, you end up becoming like an Amanda Bynes, who's losing control of the disassociation or in their mind. Or you get people like Lindsay Lohan, who lost association. But guess what? After they lost the disassociation, she fully surrendered back to it, and now she's fine again. And now she's coming back into normality because she's given up the fight of disassociating. So like she's gone to these rituals, probably. She started, rather than denouncing the terrible things they were trying to make her do, she probably said, fine, I'll do it. I'll do whatever. And now she's back to this more, to what seems like a stable state, if you would.
That checks out with me. I think that, yeah, you could imagine that. Okay, so they have all their people they puppeteer, right? Yeah, the ones they raise up in the business, the people that are related to people. So again, they're raised into this. And then, yeah, there's the selected ones where this person will do anything. They'll do anything to be famous. They'll pick this person. And then you have the real rare people on the earth, like the 1 in a million, who is so talented that it's like, we need to co-opt this person. We need them because they could really do damage if they're not with us. They could be very powerful if they're with us. It's kind of almost like Luke Skywalker. He would be a powerful ally if we could turn him, right? But if we can't turn him, then he's got to die.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's that's literally what they if they can turn this person to the dark side, then they can really use them. But yeah, like they realize how destructive that person could be if they're not on the team. Yeah. So they have to at some point get to them early, and then they can shift the narrative about but yeah, it does seem like it. But I could imagine that they could be brought under some kind of guise of like, oh, well, we can do this for you. We can do this for you. And they make it seem all nice. And at some point they do accept the idea. accept the offer. But then they started to say, this sucks. I don't want to be in here. You guys are all a bunch of creeps. And then they start telling people that.
Yep.
And then
that's
when these people eventually they're not as popular anymore. And also eventually they're no longer with us. And they die under very, very suspicious circumstances out of nowhere.
Yeah. And I'll give you an example, actually, another one. Tupac is a very good example of this. So if you watch the original video of Tupac's interview, go ahead and type in Tupac interview, original interview 17, when he was 17. Okay. Tupac is a gay dude, by the way, for those that don't know. Tupac is flamboyantly gay, okay, in this interview. And you can see him, and he's like, my name's Tupac Shakur. And he's like, so like gay.
He was a theater guy.
Yeah.
It was all an act. It was all an act.
Yes. And you can see it. And you can see this dude is clearly 100%. He's got some things to say that are borderline, like he's got ideologies about the world. And he's saying some somewhat profound sort of things that a person his age or people
he was
around
smart. You could tell he was smart. Like he was smart.
He was very intelligent in this regard, but he was also flamboyantly gay because he mentions that he had a rough childhood. But then he goes, but I love my childhood. And you immediately go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, and he goes, and his mom or his dad had a rough childhood and too as well. And so like what you realize is for somebody to say, I was like beat and molested my whole childhood, but I loved it. You know that person is in a disassociative space. Okay. You know that they have learned to kick on the hypnotic inductive space. They have learned to separate their mind and create disassociative identities. That Tupac has done that on his own. And they were like, whoa, look at this kid. He's already in a disassociative state. He's gone through hell his whole life, lived a terrible life, and he's still smiling and happy. He is a perfect selected candidate. This guy is hypnotizable to the T. So the hypnosis experts step in and say, hey, you're going to be a gangster rapper. And he went from being this flamboyant gay dude to like, yo, I'm Tupac. Like just
right.
Like, well, I mean, straight up went from being this flamboyantly gay actor guy to this thug gangster rapper with unique ideas. Okay, that's an act, bro. He was putting on he was hypnotized to believe that. And then he started talking a little bit too much of his personality and those good ideas that he had, and when he was 17, a little too much of that truth started filtering through some of his gangster things into his songs and into his stuff that he was doing. And they're like, okay, this is becoming a problem. We need to get rid of Tupac. He's got to go. And they supposedly killed him, which they actually didn't. They actually just re-hypnotized him to think he was someone else and then released him back into the wild. Because why would you kill an asset when you can hypnotize this guy to use him for other things? Tupac's probably been hypnotized to do assassinations and you don't even know about it because he's under hypnosis. And so like why would they kill a guy if they can hypnotize him so easily to be whatever character they want him to be? So like they didn't kill. Some of these people they don't kill. Some of these people they fake kill, and some of them they genuinely kill. But Tupac is an example of one that they fake killed him.
Why do you think they fake killed him again? Why do you think that he's still alive?
There is a rapper to this day that looks like Tupac, acts like Tupac, talks like Tupac, has the same hand symbol mannerisms when he's on stage rapping. Have you not looked that guy up?
I've seen the video. I am not convinced.
Okay, that guy, he has behavioral mannerisms that are identical to Tupac. He talks and sounds like Tupac. He looks like Tupac.
Brian, Brian, my generation, we mourned him in 1996.
But of course they did, because they wanted it to create
we were all pouring 40s out for him. Don't tell me that was for nothing.
Bro, they did it it's the same reason they blew people up in the space shuttle, bro. It was a mass hypnosis ritual on everyone that thought he died.
If it was like the Challenger thing,
there was no gangster fighting going on.
There would be some guy named Tupac Shakur somewhere in Des Moines, Iowa, selling insurance or something.
There is a rapper to this day he does the same stuff as Tupac. Have you not seen the guy that I'm talking about?
No, I told you I've seen the video. Yes, he's a little bit like him, but
he's identical like him.
I'm not convinced.
Okay, there's another video of a guy talking to the Snoop Dogg, and Snoop Dogg starts crying, talking to this dude on a video.
Why would Snoop cry if he was still alive?
I don't know. He was talking to him. He was crying about it. I don't know if that's like a AI video or what, but it looks like him. But either way,
send me one of the videos. I'll put it right here.
Somebody said Tupac is coming back this year and stuff. Well, I've been back, as far as they saying Tupac coming back this year. I've been fucking here. You just recognizing the shit and stuff, so yeah.
It's very convincing. And when you see him performing on stage,
that dude from the front does not look like Tim. Like that profile looked pretty similar. The teeth obviously were kind of close, but people's teeth do change a little bit as they get older. From the front view, I was like, that's not Pac.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think it. He didn't talk like him. He didn't seem like him. That sounded like a guy saying he was Tupac.
Okay.
That's just my personal opinion.
Dog.
But yeah. Well, I mean, so he's saying he's Tupac? Nobody believes him?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess he is. I mean,
this last video turned into a long thing about Tupac.
Here's the thing. Either way, whether it's actually Tupac or not, whether they killed him like they did the Challenger shuttle people, or killed him entirely like they did Michael Jackson, or whether they reprogrammed him like they did the Challenger shuttle people, it's irrelevant. He's still a person under hypnosis. He's still a candidate who has been hypnotized.
But he was an actor. So maybe he's more influenced because he was an actor.
Yeah. I don't know. Here's the thing. Like, whether it's him or not, either way, he was deemed not an asset. So whether they actually killed him, because they didn't actually kill the people, the shuttle or Challengers, why didn't they just kill them? Because they're part of it's a program. Why kill somebody that is a good hypnotic subject? If Tupac was such a good hypnotic subject, they're not going to just get rid of the asset.
What was it? So I remember there was all those rumors that he was still alive afterwards. And I remember always saying he was still alive back in the day, back when I was in college, because I just liked messing with people. But he did have that album called Machiavelli. And I want to say that it was obviously blasphemous. It had him being on the cross. Tupac, who, by the way, we forgot to mention that Kendrick Lamar, who was supposed to be the good guy. Yeah, he also did that in one of his videos. He was on a cross with a crown of thorns and everything. But anyways, Machiavelli, I think, the story of Machiavelli, didn't he fake his death or something like that? Wasn't that?
I think that might. Yeah, I think that might have been.
That's why some people were saying that's one of the theories about it.
Well, I think there's a video clip of him saying he might do something crazy, like disappear and pretend like he's dead. Yeah, I think there's a clip of him saying something like that. I don't remember if it was him or somebody else that said that. But yeah, there's it's possible that they genuinely did kill him, but either way, he was still a hypnotic asset. I would think that if he's that good of a hypnotic asset, why not kill him? Why not just reprogram him to be somebody else? You know what I mean?
So no, Machiavelli was not. There was nothing about faking your death. It was just Machiavellian is just describe something cunning, strategic, often morally ambiguous behavior in politics. The ends justify the means. So that's pretty much how our government operates, is Machiavellian. Whatever they think is the best. So obviously you could say that could mean that the end justifies the means. So if he faked his own death, maybe that could be something about that. But it seems to me that if you were going to do that, why would you go right back into being a rapper that no one's ever heard of?
You know, I think it was just by default the rapper in the guy came out.
I want to say one last thing and then we'll close it out. I do think it's really interesting that Michael Jackson's death was ruled a homicide and almost nobody ever talks about that. Isn't it pretty crazy to think that like one of the biggest stars of all our lifetimes was unalived? I hate to say that like in this way. I want to say the M word. And nobody even seems to care at all. That seems like a bigger deal than it ever was made into. Don't you think?
I didn't know that I thought it was still.
Oh yeah, look it up. Look it up. They look it up. They'll say that his death was ruled a homicide.
Interesting. You can look up the video footage of him, and it says in the police report. I read the police report, and it says noticeable red mark in the center of chest. And if you look up, you can look up the photo of him on a stretcher, and he's got a red mark in the middle of his chest that's so unnatural. He has no shirt on, and there's this weird red mark in the middle of his chest. And so it's like, that's very unusual because it does say it in the police report and the photo.
Yeah, here you go right here, Brian. So this is from ABC News. Michael Jackson's death ruled a homicide caused by a lethal drug cocktail.
Yeah, well, that's because there's a red mark in the middle of his chest because he was poisoned.
But like I said, is it just me, or should that have been a much bigger deal? I mean, like I think again, like you didn't even know right away when I said that.
Yeah, I didn't.
It's kind of like when the news wants something to be the biggest story ever versus a non-story. It's a pretty good example of it, right? Because obviously, if the fact that somebody killed Michael Jackson with intent and nobody even talks about it.
Well, does that mean does that imply intent was?
If it was homicide, yeah.
Really?
I mean, it would have been manslaughter if it was an accident.
Oh, okay. I guess you're right.
Well, anyways, on that happy note, obviously this, again, you guys might have got whiplash from all the G-forces of going back and forth in a toroidal field like the International Space Station does. But I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Once again, Brian, thank you for joining us. Check out Brian's podcast at Demon Erasers. We're going to be coming up on Ancient Angels episode 11.
Yep. It's going to be fun, guys. It'll be interesting.
Again, chugging along. And once again, guys, we always appreciate you guys hanging out with us. It's really exciting. Both our channels are growing and it's a lot of fun. Obviously, I really appreciate all you guys. I love you all dearly. God bless you.
Later.
Everyone left me. Everyone deserted me. Jesus was always there. When everyone hated me and walked away, Jesus never walked away.